Hi, guys. Welcome to Tea Time. I am Unpredictable March. It's a pleasure to be sitting with you. Don't forget, you want to subscribe to my channel and you want to turn on your notifications so you can see when I post a video. Before I begin, I like to share my recipes and what I'm doing with you. So today's tea, I have a huge cup of tea right here, right? I'm having, it has a tea bag in there of something to help your cholesterol level, a tea bag for a cleanser, and also I have this, hopefully you can see it. Can you see that? Yeah. This is what I'm drinking today. I didn't necessarily eat bad for the weekend, but it's a brand new week. I want to set the tone. I want to purge a little bit, trying to keep fit. So the cleanser is going to help me just, remove the unwanted stuff. You know what I mean? Anyway, today I wanted to talk to you about this. Have you been in an interview and wondered why you didn't get the job? Sometimes you were in the hall, the waiting room where the interview was being held. You got a chance to watch the people around you. And, you look at yourself, you compare yourself with the people who are in the room. And sometimes, you feel good about yourself. Like, oh, I'm dressed right, or I look right, I look good. And you wait for that call, and no call. So you have to assume now you didn't get the job. So you are left feeling like deflated, depressed, and, just basically lots of questions to yourself. Your self-esteem, sometimes it goes down because you're really looking for a job, and then you think, you got the qualifications, or you think you got the job, and you didn't. I'm going to be talking to you about some of the stuff that you can do to help you nail the next interview that you go to. So you hear more of you're hired than the silent treatment that you get. Now, there are three main reasons why when you go for an interview, you don't get the job. Three main reasons, really. Forget about all the other stuff that you think. There are really three main reasons. The first main reason that you were not selected as a good candidate for that potential opportunity is because you could not articulate well. You could not explain your qualifications, which would have that person thinking, whoa, I need this bad girl. I need this bad boy on my team. Reason number one. Reason number two is because you didn't do your homework. You went to the interview. You were not prepared. And if you're not prepared, we can see right through you. You don't earn a spot on my team. And the third reason is you have bad nerve control. Yes. You walked in, your palms were sweaty. I can see through your your blouse, the sweat right here, your hands is all clampy, and you're talking and I can hear you cracking right here in your voice, and you don't look confident, and your answers were kind of all over the place. And you oftentimes would forget to answer the questions when your nerves are not in control. You're too nervous. Those are the really three reasons why you don't get the job. Because I've sat at both sides of the desk. I've interviewed for many jobs, as I told you, 20 years in the industry, hotel. I've also sat on the end where I actually conduct interviews. So I think with those two things, make me enough to be able to offer you some tips. 10 tips. 10. We're just going to keep it short. And hopefully these 10 tips, you try them, your interview will be different. We don't have a lot of time, 30 minutes. Tip number one. Tip number one is you have to research yourself. Now, what I mean by research yourself, I know a lot of time we ask people to do resumes for us, and sometimes mumbo jumbo get applied to a resume. And yes, we're trying to meet that, 9-second to 30-second rule. That's how long really it takes to impress someone like me who's looking at a resume. Not just me. If you look, you will see. We don't apply much time to look at a resume to know if we're interested in a candidate. So if you get that call, it's because your resume was impressive. You've written something on there that impressed, us, then we call you. But when we do call you, we need you to be able to speak about your qualifications. And to be able to speak about your qualification, you need to really compare what you've written on your resume and the job qualification. Do you meet that first? If you find that you meet that, how are you going to explain your qualifications compared to what the job specifications are to the person who's interviewed? You need to be able to do that. And in order to do that is you got to research, your background, what you've done, and what you've put on your resume, and also what you've written, what's been written about the job specifications. Do your research. Research yourself. Okay, that's the first step. The second step is you want to research the company. You cannot walk into an establishment not knowing some stats, some statistics, some information about them. You can't rely on when you get there, they're going to tell you. Yes, they have to try to impress you by telling you information about the company, but you have to do your work. You have to look at, how long this company's been in business, what their numbers are like, where the headquarters, some of the comp set, you can't be applying for an independent hotel, for example, and you can't speak on what is an independent hotel. The information is out there. None of that stuff is private. It's public information. So research the company, look to see who are they comparing themselves against. And, last year, like, for example, I mentioned TripAdvisor, so I'm going to use that a lot because it's a thing that, I talk about a lot. The hotel that you are applying for, how did they do on TripAdvisor last year? And then you may want to be able to speak on, to that person who's interviewing you, letting them know, I noticed you grew your numbers in TripAdvisor. In 2018, you were 100 on TripAdvisor. You made some improvements in 2019. I see, you dropped a couple of spots. You're now top 50 hotels. And looking at you in 2020 already, you have some great reviews. So you're doing well. Me speaking like that, it sounds like, okay, I know my stuff. So I'm not just coming here and not ready to share what I know about the company. And the third tip is you want to research the position that you're applying for. Now, excuse me, I'll drink some tea. The positions, the description for the job positions are all over the internet. So if you don't look, you will not find. You need to understand the qualifications, the expectation for the position that you're applying for. Yes, they're going to tell you, But you need to do your part as well and be able to engage in that conversation with the person who's interviewing you as they speak about the qualification, the expectations, and the qualifications. So you can say, well, in my last position, blah, 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 blah. I did this, and the market shows, this year, this is expected to happen, and I've taken this course to kind of help me be up to date, and blah 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 blah. You see what I'm saying? So you want to research the position, not just how much it pays. You want to research to see, in another state, I see that, and I don't know, Washington, D.C., that, the doorman goes and get coffee for guests. Is this something New York hotels want to get into? I'm just throwing examples out there for you, just to give you an idea what I mean by research the position, so you can sound like, you know what, you're very engaged, you're very involved, and you know your stuff. Let us go to tip one. Let us go to tip 4. Before I go to tip 4, I want to tell you about when you talk about yourself. We often get this wrong. While you research yourself, you want to speak about your qualifications. You really want to have a good, solid statement of what your strength is. And while you do that, you also need to acknowledge there must be a downside to your strength. And the downside to your strength, recognizing that, is a weakness. And you need to have a solid statement as well, what you have acknowledged a weakness is for you. We all have them. People come in interviews thinking that, oh, I'm good at everything. I don't have, any weakness, which is actually not true at all. We all have, a weakness. Like, I like to even share one, with you. For me, that like, I am someone who, I keep busy. I like to do a lot of things. I'm very kind of like hands-on. Like, I enjoy getting a lot done. And sometimes I find it hard to kind of like take a step back and, see other perspective. I just told you a weakness. It doesn't sound so bad, right? But it is bad. The reason it's bad is I can't do everything. And if I do everything my way, how is it going to be, better with that just one way of doing things, me, like my way? I need to kind of let others in, see how others do things. So, I could just see another version or through someone else's eye. So you want to think about your strength and your weakness as well to be able to answer that question. Now we are up to tip number 4. Tip number 4 is that people go to interviews and they are not prepared for the interviews. Not at all. One thing I strongly suggest that you do, 24 hours before your interview, you want to really sit down and prepare yourself, prepare some material, go over the material that you've prepared, write things down. The interesting thing that you got to do with that information is stand in front of a mirror. No, you're not being, too cocky or too, what do you call it, superficial, being to yourself. No, you want to see how you enunciate. You want to see your gestures. You want to see your body language. You want to see how you look. I suggest you do 2 things. You practice in front of a mirror, or you videotape yourself. Videotape yourself, see how you speak. Do you speak too much with your hands? Like, are you like this, like that, like this? After watching the video, you might say, you know what, I need to lose that. Do you talk like this, like this, like this, like this with your neck? If you're doing that a lot with your head, you might want to stop doing that. The only way you will know what you do is by doing these little videos and watch yourself. Me as a new YouTuber, let me tell you, you know how many little videos behind the scene that I do, I watch myself, then I know what to correct. So practice, write things down, like, stand in front of a mirror, even take a picture of yourself, look at your face. If there's a frown, a little wrinkle that you feel like don't belong there, the only way you're going to know is by watching yourself and highlight what needs to be changed and make a change. Okay. The next one is preparing short scenarios. The way interviews are done now is is different. It's a lot of behavioral questions. Now, what is behavioral questions? It's not just yes or no. They don't make it easy for you anymore. And the top 20 questions asked during an interview hasn't changed. It's just now formatted in behavioral questions. Like, to give you an example, what is a behavioral question? Tell me about a time where you had a difficult guess. You were under pressure. How did you handle that? These are the line of questioning during the interview process now. So prepare 3 stories. Make them up. Who cares? They won't know. Just make sure you tie it to your, background. Make a positive one where you did something that was, I don't know, magical, spectacular. Also, think about a scenario where you couldn't help because your hands were tied, but show the alternatives that you offered before you said no. Like perfect these stories, 3 stories. I said stories because you can keep them for years. As you change job, you keep change it a little bit, but the more you keep repeating it, you stay to the same story, the more you most likely to remember. Come up with those, work on them, and then look up what other questions that typically get asked during an interview and make up your story, stay with it. And when you get in this interview, even you're not asked, offer these answers to them, these behavioral answers to some of these potential questions. They'll be impressed. Okay. The next one is to be engaged. When you are interviewing, the interview process literally begins at the curb of the facility. The CEO, the CFO, they look just like us. They may be dressed down. So you have to remember, you're not only trying to impress the person, the HR person, manager who's interviewing you, you're trying to impress everybody you come in contact with at the facility. So as you walk in from the curb, the door, the receptionist, be nice. Offer some kind words to them, like "Good morning, how's your day going? How is your day? Or how was your weekend?" And little small talk. And like the front door or the reception. The reason for that is that HR manager is not the one to really make that last decision. And what we typically do, we typically will ask the staff. We'll let the staff know when we have interviews coming in, and we'll ask the staff, "Oh, what do you think about so and so?" And I know when I ask, I get stuff like, "Boss lady, his hand was very clammy. Oh my God, poor dude is very like, he's very nervous. His suit doesn't fit." Yes, I ask for this feedback and I do get the feedback from the staff, from the line staff. So Marjorie's not the only one. She's not the only one who do it. We all do. We all look, from, people that are on our team who may have seen that candidate. We ask what they think. So be prepared to be engaged and just remember that you on camera. And before you walk in, like be ready. Okay? So be prepared to be engaged. That's the last tip. And the next tip we want to talk about, I'm like losing my numbers right now. I think we are up to 7. Okay. You want to be able to dress for the part. What do I mean by dress for the part? It's so crazy and bizarre. People often get it wrong. They get it so wrong. Like I don't even understand. Like, how is it that, people are not looking or searching the web? All that information is there. You want to go to your interview in a tailored suit. You want to make sure you're not wearing offensive colors. So keep it neutral. Wear black, wear navy, wear dark gray, some browns. Your shoes needs to always be black, brown, female. You can do neutral shoes. um, it's not the time for you to get festive with all the, accessories. Keep it simple for the women, with the earrings and the jewelry. The guys, I know you guys are sapper and sappers. You want to show your, your fashion forward. You ladies want to show your fashionista. This is not the time for you to come in with the lapel pins, with the pocket squares, with the extra this, and then Chanel that, and the brooch this. This is not the time. You need to be very professional. And to be professional, just keep it very simple. Okay. And for the ladies, shoes, it's not the time for platform. Platform is not shoes to wear to an interview. Another thing that I've seen, like open toe, not the shoes to wear to an interview. Sandals, not the shoes to wear to an interview. Um, you know, what else? The makeup. This is not the time for you to get your face beat, all caked up. No, not the time. Keep it very simple. Neutral, because you don't want to be offensive, and you never know who's going to interview you. And as much as we don't want to admit it, it's by preference. You may wear something or come in there smelling so strong with the cologne or perfume, you offend that person. That alone could kind of like set the tone, like, oh gosh, I don't want to deal with that. I'll have to deal with that every day. I'm just saying. So dress the part. Look it up if you're not sure. Your blouse, it needs to be like your white, your light gray, your light blue, not no fuchsia. Some eggplant colors, maybe. It's not the time for you to wear a red blouse. You know what I'm saying? Like, look it up if you're not sure. But you need to be in a tailored suit. It needs to fit. Your heels need to be on point, medium heel length. You know what I'm saying? And then also, you don't want, because we're busty here, ladies. You want to watch your buttons so your breast don't look like it's popping out the button. And you guys, if you wear a jacket, you can't button it, and you look like you're getting ready to look like the Hulk in it. That's not the right suit. So make sure you're fitted right. Okay. The next one is you need to be on time. To be on time for an interview, it means you need to arrive 30 minutes, because during that 30 minutes is when you're going to be engaged with the staff. You're going to take a look. Also, too, you want to go over your notes, read your notes. If there's something that you forgot, this will be an opportunity for you to kind of like, remember, go over. And also, too, you want to kind of get your mindset ready. If you're rushing, I'm running late, you're already kind of scared, you're kind of like whatever, you're not going to do well. So if you come, you pause, you have some time. Like when I walk in for an interview, I don't like to walk in my coat. You will already see that, I fold my coat on my arm. I have my card. I have my bag, on my right hand. I walk around with a bottle of water. I like to sip a little bit of water before I walk in. It helps kind of soothe me, set me down, get my mind thinking right. There are just some things that you got to do. These are some things that you got to do to get yourself prepared. And the next one is the thank you note. The thank you note people often forget, and you think if you do it, you're kissing ass. No, we like it. And it needs to be done 24 hours after you've ended that interview, 48 hours the latest. Now, the reason you want to do that is because you may have forgotten to, say some stuff. And this is your opportunity to reiterate. This is your opportunity to kind of like get that information to them, and that information is who you are. You're thinking them, but you're reminding them that, these are my qualifications. I see your company is at X. With my qualifications, bringing me on board, I will take you down. I will take you up to this. I will take you down, on TripAdvisor from 300 to 100. You know what I'm saying? So it's an opportunity for you to really kind of get that last punch. Think of me. This is what I do, and this is what I could do, and then this is what we would look like together, the company, if I'm on board. Always remember to kind of use keywords like we, not just I, so it doesn't seem like, okay, this person is just saying that because they want the job. I. So include the company in a lot of your verbiage when you're interviewing. So we talked about that. What else did we talk about? Okay, I think the last one is where people don't take this seriously, is where they ask the question, do you have any questions? And oftentimes, like, no, you actually done a good job. You've answered all the questions. No, no. You should always walk in there with a set of 3 to 5 questions that you want to ask them. Here's why. If you do not ask them any question, you leave them feeling that you're not interested in them. You're not interested in the company. Yet, yes, they are, telling you a bit about the company. They could have left some things out too. And to show your interest, to kind of help them, share the knowledge, share the information, you want to ask some questions, yourself. It shows that, this person, oh, that's a good candidate. That person is interested. And another reason why you want to ask questions is because you want to see how well prepared this person is, as well. Because if you ask them a question, they're not able to provide you an answer, it will leave you thinking, damn, about their communication process, or it will definitely have me thinking about their culture. How are you sitting before me in an interview and you're not able to tell me or answer my questions? So now it may want you to think about, do I want to work for a company who I asked a question, they couldn't provide me with an answer? Also, too, the way they answer the question can kind of let you in a little bit about the culture of the place or the morale of the person. Maybe that person is literally out the door. This was just like the last step. And do I want to work at a place where, I don't know, a manager answered this question that way? Is this like a toxic place? A toxic place? Will I fit in? So it's important that you ask questions. One of the questions that I like to ask when after my interview, I find that, I want to know. I don't have the privilege to, open a hotel every day. The current hotel that I work for, I opened that hotel and hired every single person on board with me. But in my line of work, as a managing director hotel, I find the employees there, their culture is already established, system, operating procedures already there. So I'm brought on board typically to make a change, to help, efficiency and so on and so forth. But it's imperative, it's important that I ask this question about my onboarding process. What is my onboarding process will be like when I'm hired? I ask a question like that because I want to know, do you have a plan for me? I don't just want to be thrown in there like that. That will jeopardize my success. So I want to know, is there a plan? Am I going to be sitting down with every department head? Am I going to have one-on-one with my, general manager? Am I going to have one-on-one with director of HR? And, am I going to be able to set, meeting for me to get with my staff? And we use many systems. Is there like, training schedule set aside for me to learn all the many systems to understand, how that property operates? So the next time you go for an interview, I suggest you really do your homework. A lot of the time you didn't get the job. It's not that they didn't like your hair, they didn't like how you look. I know it's easier to say it's because I look this way, it's because I'm black, or because I'm Chinese, I'm too brown, or I'm too fair skin, and blah blah blah. A lot of times you don't get the job, it's because you didn't sell yourself enough. You couldn't articulate. You couldn't explain your qualification. You couldn't explain what you will bring to the company. You didn't do a good job. You didn't do a job good enough to let me in and that initial interview to bring you on board. So think about that. Don't just, you know, think just because you have 100 degrees that you have certifications and reference letter, that's enough. Yeah, these are great to have, but you need to be able to kind of like make your mark with that person who's interviewing you, and that's how you sell yourself. So think about some of the things that I said today and ask yourself this question, have I really been doing that? Do I apply that much during an interview process? And if you have not got the job, it's because you weren't doing that. So my suggestion to you is give it your best shot. And that's by doing all of the things that I just mentioned. And see, the next time it may be that, oh, you're hired, you got the call, and you're not left to figure it out. I'm your girl, Unpredictable Marge. As you know, on Monday we do tea time. This was tea time with Unpredictable Marge. I appreciate you guys. I ask that you continue to share me with the world, with all your friends. Lots to come. I'm committed to bringing some of these things to you, and I hope that you won't be selfish and keep me to yourself, and you share me with your groups, share me on your social media with all your friends. And it's a pleasure to always sit with you, to do these videos, and to share some of these insight with you. I love you guys so much. Remember, comment if you want to weigh in on the conversation. I look at them, and I also post them in my story on Instagram, all the comments that you leave. And key thing is you want to subscribe. You want to turn your notification on so you know when I'm post up. Like I said, I love you guys so very much. Thank you so much. I enjoy talking to you guys. Welcome to your week. Happy Monday, guys. Bye. And of course,